topic is automated decision making in the warehouse. I'm joined by Seth Patin, CEO and founder of LogistiVIEW. Hi, Seth.
Hey, Bob.
Seth, how would you characterize the current level of automation in the warehouse?
I think there's a lot of automation solutions out there. It depends really which warehouse you're in, but a lot of folks have a lot of conveyors. A lot of folks have things like automated storage and retrieval systems, everything from small units to big units, robotic systems, goods to person systems. There's a lot of options available, but a lot of companies find that there are not necessarily getting the results that they're looking for with their automation.
Well, it's a broad range of options, and we'll talk a little bit about how companies can achieve those results. But I want to talk specifically about automated decision making. What do we mean when we use that phrase?
Well, it's actually pretty straightforward. It is kind of exactly how it sounds. Automated decision making is the process of using software to recommend that a person makes a decision or takes an action, or to automatically take that action based on the amount of information that the software has visible or available to it upon which to make a decision.
What kinds of decisions are we talking about?
Everything from what order should I be releasing to the warehouse floor now? Who should I be assigning the work to? How should the work be getting done? What process should it flow through the warehouse, or what path should it take through the warehouse? All of those different decisions are frequently made by people today, but as technology advances, I believe we're going to see more and more of those decisions automated with software.
Is it about AI, artificial intelligence, machine learning? What exactly?
Well, it's kind of about all of the above. I think AI and machine learning kind of get a bad rap because most people, when they think about AI and ML, they don't really think of anything concrete. And the reality is that artificial intelligence is the application of a computer's ability to recognize a pattern.
Mm-hmm.
And then be able, and machine learning is the ability to say that pattern generated success or that pattern generated failure. And so when AI recognizes a pattern, i.e., I have a decision to make, and these criteria are present. For example, it's this time of day, and I have this order that needs to be shipped out to the customer by this time, and I have this many people available in my facility to do the work, and I don't have any bottlenecks anywhere else in the facility. I can release this order because that's what's next best decision for my business. Then looking at the back end, machine learning says, yes, that customer got that order on time and it was the best cost possible. So next time we see that same situation, we're going to reinforce that decision and do it again.
You can't make decisions without data. And I think you just described what some of the data is that the system needs to know. But I'm just wondering in general, what are the inputs? Are they all about just the activity going on within the warehouse? Are there external inputs too, with regard to demand and supply? What kind of information is flowing into the system that allows it to output an automated decision?
That's actually a very good point, Bob. In fact, one of the biggest difficulties in automated decision making is ensuring you have enough information to make a decision in the proper context. If you make a decision based on overly simplistic inputs, you can obviously create an outcome that's not quite what you were expecting. Generally, what you need to know is what is the demand, i.e., what orders, what tasks, what things need to be completed to achieve success. You need to know the supply. What is my available inventory? What is my available workforce? And then you need to understand constraints. What things can I push to the warehouse now versus, well, if I release this now, I'm not going to have enough space on my conveyor, or I'm not going to have enough space on my shipping dock. Having the understanding and visibility to all of those things taking place throughout the facility is a critical visibility factor for automated decision making to maximize its effectiveness.
Well, the term machine learning implies that the systems gets better with experience. What kind of system do you have at the beginning that doesn't have that type of experience from day one? I mean, certainly you fed in information about the everyday processes that happen within the warehouse, but the system is improving its ability to make proper decisions, is it not, as time goes on?
Absolutely. The rule or the system starts out, really any AI system starts out in a rules-based environment where you configure what a human understanding of the rules is. A computer knows how to, again, identify patterns. Artificial intelligence is merely the ability to identify patterns. The human still needs to identify what patterns you're searching for. And so you identify as part of the configuration and the setup the patterns that need to be reinforced. And then machine learning is merely the application of saying, did I recognize this pattern properly, and did it produce the right outcome? But that pattern is part of the implementation process. And ultimately, it's very different for every business. Not every business has the same success criteria.
So you're implying, in fact, saying specifically that there still is a role for the human in this decision-making process, even though the system is outputting the decision, a person is still there in some capacity.
Oh, undoubtedly. I'll take, for example, a situation where a good chunk of the workforce maybe was unable to get to the building because of a storm or something like that. And so you're working short-staffed for the day. And you have a knowledge up front that you're not going to be able to get all the orders out the door. And the system recognizes I do not have enough capacity, I don't have enough supply to meet all of my demand. At that point, the system is not really well positioned because it's a subjective decision. It's not a pattern-based decision. It's a subjective decision for the human to say which orders, which customers are most critical to fill today in the event that we can't fulfill all orders. So in that situation, the system needs to raise that visibility point to a human decision maker to say, this is what's important to the operation. This is how we define success in this strange exception scenario.
I'm hearing you say that the system is quite dynamic, that it's able to input new information. I don't know if it's a real-time basis or not, but as conditions change, which indeed they will all the time, the system is able to adjust to those changes. Is that correct?
Absolutely. In fact, I think that's the critical factor. Truly successful automated decision making is about the ability to understand real-time inputs and recognize patterns very quickly to say, based on what I see at this exact moment, this is the next best decision to make. Now, it's great if you can build a plan that looks good at the beginning of the day when all the chips have not been yet cast. But when something goes wrong, or when something changes, or when a new customer who's hotter order comes in and kind of disrupts the plan, you have to be able to respond. And the system ultimately should be doing that very dynamically and proactively, because in most systems, there's just too much data now for a human to make an efficient decision in the first place. And so asking them to is kind of setting them up to fail.
It's such a complex process. How do we know we can trust the system's output?
That's a very great question. It takes a little bit of practice and a little bit of time to really validate that the decisions the system is making are in line with the decisions that the human managers of the business want the system to make. Generally, that's a process of validation and analysis. You typically do that starting off with a test data set, typically taking production data from historical periods and then evaluating the systems the decisions that the system makes in a test environment. Once you feel that those decisions are successful or suitable enough to put into a production environment, you then roll them out into a production environment. Typically, you'll see a situation where production reality helps teach both humans and the system how to become better in its future decisions. So typically, it's a process from rollout to reaching the true optimization point.
How can warehouses justify the investment in this system? Is this more of a long-term or a short-term play with regard to ROI?
I think in terms of a short-term play, the primary value in the short term is the ability to increase business continuity in the event that your planners are either getting poached by the nearest large Amazon warehouse, or they have they're sick that day. A lot of businesses will struggle to operate efficiently if the people who are the key planners in the operation are absent for that day. So in the short term, you have that continuity of the system being able to make decisions that perhaps would be critical for a human to make. In the long term, the value is really about giving you the ability to maximize the usage of your assets. You've spent a lot of money on those assets, whether that be people, automation, buildings, etc. All those machines, all of those people, all that investment, you want to get the best possible bang for your buck out of that. And the way you do that is by maximizing throughput through the building. And a well structured and well implemented automated decision making process will allow you to basically run your operation at as high utilization level as possible while not bottlenecking your facility, therefore maximizing your throughput.
Thanks so much, Seth, for your insights, helping us to understand just what is automated decision making in the warehouse today. I want to take a moment, though, to ask you specifically about LogistiVIEW. Where do you folks fit into the picture?
Well, LogistiVIEW is building and rolling out a solution that we call TaskFlow, which is basically one of the earliest forms of automated decision making, and we're moving towards and building towards the full vision that we just discussed with AI and machine learning. And right now, in the facilities that we've rolled out to, we've been able to automate all of the decisions around work release, around work assignment, et cetera, and truly create that flow through, that automated flow through that I referenced earlier.
Seth Patin of LogistiVIEW, I want to thank you once again for talking to me about the whole subject of automated decision-making in the warehouse, as well as a little bit about LogistiVIEW itself. Thanks very much for being with me.
Thanks for having me, Bob. Great to talk.